My name is Hani Yusuf. I'm a freelance journalist in New York, and I'm a recent graduate of Columbia University Graduate School of Journalism. We're sitting right now in Stuyvesant Town, which has become an upscale and rather safe housing complex and neighborhood when it wasn't so at all a few decades ago, when it used to be quite dangerous. That's what's interesting to me about New York neighborhoods, that they go through so much flux even within the century and so many times over. Harlem, for example, is a particularly interesting neighborhood to me because it started out being a rather upscale neighborhood, and that's what and the lovely brownstones from the 18th century still exist there in the historical area of Harlem. And then it went through its phase of becoming an extremely dangerous neighborhood where people actually abandoned their beautiful brownstones and their houses to go live somewhere else because it was so completely dangerous for so long, and there was gun violence on the streets. And now again it's become an area for young professionals and for people who can't afford housing everywhere else in Manhattan, and it's become a nice place for people with families and with kids because there's just more space and more opportunities to drive in that area. What's interesting to me now, though, is that since the recession and with housing prices dropping in the rest of Manhattan, people have been moving out of Harlem to occupy areas that have a perception of greater safety and a perception of somehow more economic stability. And that's a strange perception because Harlem seems to have retained its reputation for being unsafe, although it also used to be an area not too far back in history that gave rise to the Harlem Renaissance and was full of culture and art and jazz clubs. And so it's interesting to me how it's sort of been through so many different how it's evolved in so many different ways and how it's gone up and down. However, people seem to attach to it the reputation of being dangerous, and this is something that's similar in many areas of New York. For example, Chelsea and the meatpacking area was only until a century ago an area where meat was packed literally, and now it's become one of the most fashionable neighborhoods and made fashionable by Sex and the City.